Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Which is the Moon. I am your Friday hostess, Natalie. This week is our Choose Your Own Topic week on week 12. And I had a topic that somebody suggested that I said, that's going to be a fabulous topic. And of course, in the course of life, I have forgotten said topic. So I think today I'm going to talk about writing your own spells. And this is going to give me a good opportunity to show off a neat little tool that I got over the Christmas/New Year's Yule time kind of thing. Uh, a lot of people that get into the craft are very hesitant about writing their own spells. A lot of times they'll cruise channels like ours, like the Lady Grave Dancers, and they'll take that spell and they'll copy it down, and it may work for them and it may not. Now, there's debate on, when should you start writing your own spells? My personal opinion is that a witch should start writing their own spells as soon as they can, right away, even if it's not a great spell, because the more you do it, the better you get at it. Now, I am the kind of person who likes my spellcraft to rhyme, but it does not necessarily have to. I do think that I personally feel that there are certain components that should go into a spell to make it effective. And that should be, you should have a clear aim or purpose. That purpose should be stated in some way, whether it's by your words, by a sigil, or both. And it should have certain criteria, such as a termination point or a continuation factor. So, for example, if it's a spell like a prosperity spell, a money come to me spell, or something like that, and you want it to be something that's continuing, then there should be something written into your spell that ensures that continuation, or that you state must be done in order to continue the spell. Whether it's you sprinkle a little basil at your door every day or something like that. You light a money candle every day, what have you, and let it burn for a specified time. Gree bags need to be fed, that sort of thing. So I think that those are the three key points, but you need to have a very clear stated purpose of what the spell is to accomplish and how it's to be accomplished. And I think a lot of times people are nervous about that because they don't know what to say, and that's one of the reasons that a lot of people are very hesitant to get into spellcraft. Another thing is that I think people think, because in Hollywood a lot of times people make spells that rhyme. I just happen to like that because I wrote a lot of poetry as a kid. I still write poetry today, and so I like things to rhyme and have a rhythm, but that is not a requirement for an effective spell, and I don't want anyone to think that that is, or to be intimidated by that. So one of the things that I find is important to me as a writer, and this goes into my spellcraft, and that's just me, okay? Don't think that this is a requirement either, but I really like to have a good writing instrument. I don't like scratchy, blotchy kinds of things. I like things that are smooth and flow on the page, because to me that just helps me to know that my spell is flowing out as well. It needs to feel natural to me, and so when I am sitting down to write a spell, I like to make sure I have a good pen, even if it's not the pen I'm going to write the final spell that goes into my grimoire. The problem I have with spell writing personally myself also, or sharing spells, this is one of the things that I don't like about the Share a Spell Week, is that I never do the same spell exactly twice the same way. It depends a lot on what I have in terms of availability with herbs and materials and thought patterns and what's going on in my head, what's going on in my heart, what's going on in my life. And so my spells tend to be a little bit different every time I do them, even if it's the same type of spell. Now, one of the things that I do really like to have that I mentioned is a nice writing kit. And I just got this lovely kit in the mail. It did come from China, which I'm always a little sketchy about, but I have to tell you that this writing kit is lovely, and it was worth the like 25 bucks I paid for it. It came with a glass pen that is handcrafted. These are all hand fired and blown. And I'm going to try to show this to the camera because I want you to be able to see. I don't know if that's going to show in any detail, but do you see the amount of detail and glitter that is in that? It is a rich, deep purple, and the camera is not doing it any justice. It looks black, but it's actually a really deep, rich purple, and it is gorgeous. It also came with a dip vial, which is what this is. You're supposed to put the ink in there, and that's what you use to. Not quite sure what the sides are for exactly. It also came with a pen holder to rest the pen on so that it doesn't drip the ink everywhere. So it's just a little piece of glass. It's quite lovely. And it came with 4 of the most beautiful inks I have ever seen. And again, I'm going to try to show these to you. And I don't know if the camera is going to do it justice, but it's that kind of glittery green. That's part of the ink right there that you're seeing. And it came with blue, bronze, which is kind of a glittery, beautiful kind of ink. Red. That's red, actually. It came with green, which will be great for money spells. And I really, oh, I have to tell you, for money spells, I love the fact that it has this little bit of gold glitter in it, because to me, I associate gold, green, and silver with prosperity spells. Green, not so much because of money, because a lot of times money isn't green, but for growth. I see green as a prosperous color for growth and health. And then it came with bronze, kind of a brown color with that gold flecking in it. And you just shake it up and it mixes it up real nice. So these are going to be really lovely to use, and I'm really excited to use it. But I will use this kit once I actually write out the spell that I want to put into my grimoire. When I start out writing a spell, I'll take probably just a piece of regular notebook paper, and I try to coordinate the color of pen to the type of work that I'm doing. So I might use Sharpie markers, or I might use just pens with different colors. If it's a love spell, I'll try to use a red or a pink ink. If it is a spiritual spell, something to deepen somebody's spirituality, or you know, like a binding or something like that, I will use a rich purple. If it is something that I want for healing, I will use blue. Prosperity, I will use green, gold, or silver, or a mixture of those 3. And what I will do is I will sit down and write out exactly what is my goal for this spell. And I just write it out as a sentence. You know, from this spell, I wish to obtain this goal. Then from that objective, I will write out a sigil. I'll make out a sigil and write out how I want to conduct the spell. Will I be using candles? Will I be using herbs? Will I be using the sigil? If I'm using the sigil, is it inscribed into the candle? My dogs just spilled my coffee everywhere. Get out! I am so sorry. Pardon me. One moment, folks. I'm so sorry about that interruption. It is like having small children in the house. I've told them not to wrestle in here, and yet those 2 particular will get underneath the table where I'm working, and they will just start wrestling until they have knocked everything over. They've had me spill coffee on my computer before, which kind of fried the keyboard, so hence now I have a little portable keyboard that I just kind of, it's Bluetooth, so it's nice because in a way I can kind of sit back here and work, and that's lovely. But in the meantime, the keyboard on the computer doesn't work at all. Anyhow, I will make sure that I have a clear objective of what I want out of the spell. And it's just a simple statement of this is what I want out of the spell. From that, I will try to formulate a more formal sentence that outlines what I want in detail, that is precise to the point. And from that, I will make a sigil. Now, when I do my sigil work, and I've talked about sigils in other videos, I will usually use the statement and combine the letters in some way. I may add imagery to it, such as if it's a money spell, I may add pictures of dollar signs, money bags, you know, prosperity, such as like grass growing, because, you know, the growth, that sort of thing, flowers blooming. So I may add different things to it, whatever appeals to me or whatever I feel most closely goes with my objective. You better not. Okay, sorry about that. He's trying to creep his way back in here to start wrestling some more. He's looking all penitent. In any case, then the next thing I will do is decide, like I said, what materials am I going to use for this spell? Am I going to inscribe the sigil on a candle? Am I going to use the sigil on a piece of paper? Do I want to use color paper that matches the goal with a variant of the shade of the same color for the ink? Or how am I going to work that? Am I going to combine my energy with another person's energy for this spell? Will it take more than one person? How long is it supposed to last? Is it supposed to be something that I want immediate or that can work on over time? You need to figure all of those things into your spell writing, and then you can create whatever you want with the spell. You would write out the ingredients, you would write out the steps, like a recipe. It's basically like a recipe. And so you would write that all out, and that would be, once I kind of get it where I like it, once I have the wording the way I like it, once I feel like it's objective and clear, once I have all the materials in place that I want to use and I figure out how I wish to utilize them or what I wish to utilize them for, I will write all of that down on that piece of notebook paper. And then when I am done and I have my final spell, I'll write that with the special pen set on a parchment paper and put that into my grimoire. So not everything I do makes it into my grimoire. I'm going to be honest with you. I know there are some people that think that you need to write down every spell you ever create and put it in your grimoire. If that was the case, my grimoire would be so big I couldn't even pick it up and hold it. I'd need 2 or 3. So I don't bother with that. I just put the spells that I find are the most effective, that work the best, or that were the most meaningful to me, and I put those into my grimoire. Now, I keep a lot of journals, and sometimes I'll write down like spell ideas in journals. If I come up with a cute saying or a good phrase that I think is going to be nice and powerful, that's concise, then I will go ahead and write that down, because if I don't write it down as soon as I think of it, I won't remember it. So I carry journals and little notebooks with me all the time, and there's bits and pieces of spell work in those journals, and someday I'm going to sit down and compile them all and put them into the grimoire, but at this point it's just not there. But I really do feel that spell work needs to be pointed, and I think that a witch should start writing spells almost from day one. If you really believe that everything you do is magical, then you're casting spells every time you tell someone to have a good day or have a bad day or anything like that. I did a video, I believe, for my personal channel about the power of words, that it's our most #1 tool, and that's certainly true. Any idea or thought that you put in your mind eventually comes out into the physical, just like I've explained in previous videos. When I have a friend who is a furniture maker, and I don't know how his creative process works. I've been trying to get him to talk to me about this because I am fascinated by the creative process. But I'm certain that when he looks at that piece of wood, he already sees in his mind kind of what the end objective is going to be. It's already there for him. It's just a matter of knowing what to cut where to make it look the way it does in his mind. Now, same thing could be said for any kind of artist, a person who paints, a person who writes, a person who does this or that. What you see in your mind, you will manifest. Everything that is manifested is something that was once in someone's head. Somebody had an idea for that design. It's no different for spell work. If you want to create an end result, then you need to have a clear objective in your head of what you want your life to be like, or what you want the end result of that spell work to be, and you simply work from that point backward. You say, okay, this is what I want. This is how I'm going to obtain it. These are the things that correspond to it. Get a book on correspondences and use them, but don't let that override your natural instinct, because I do believe that the divine whispers in our ear when we are creating, because we are indeed created from the divine. So if something doesn't feel right to you, even though the book says this corresponds to this, if that doesn't seem to suit what you're needing, don't use it. Use whatever feels comfortable for you, even if it's not something that's listed as a correspondence, because now for you it is a correspondence. So I think that's the other barrier that a lot of people experience to spell writing, is that the correspondences can be so overwhelming. The time correspondences, the moon phases, the different herb correspondences, the different color correspondences, the different crystal correspondences. Do you use 1, 2, or 3 of all of those in your spell work? Really, I think a lot of people are intimidated by that, and I think there's a lot of people out there that say you should or shouldn't do this, and so a lot of people listen to that and they allow it to intimidate them, and so they simply copy other people's spells, and that does not always work. Somebody else's spell has somebody else's energy. Now, that doesn't mean you can't use somebody else's spell as a basis, but it needs to be your own, which is why I think it's so important that you get into the habit of writing your own spells immediately upon practicing craft, even if it's just a simple little, I need to find a paperclip today kind of spell. So don't let that intimidate you. Get out there and start writing. Look to other people and how they do it, but don't make that your definitive guide. Get in there and do it on your own and make it your own, and be the witch that you are. Thank you so much for watching. Hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. Bye.